Welcome to the MPFFU podcast. The intent and purpose of the MPFFU podcast is to support the mission to improve wages, working hours, and working conditions for its members. This podcast will disseminate evidence-based relevant information, resources, and strategies. To accomplish this, the MPFFU podcast will provide reliable, factual, and actionable information that strengthens, empowers, and supports the MPFFU members and locals through united action. Now our host, Jeff Lassers.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 13 of the MPFFU podcast. I'm Jeff Lassers, and I've been a firefighter-paramedic with the West Bloomfield Township Fire Department, Local 1721, since 2004. In this episode, we welcome back Matt Saar and Amanda West. Matt Saar is the president of the Michigan Professional Firefighters Union, as well as a firefighter and paramedic with the City of East Point, MPFFU Local 1561. Amanda West is the MPFFU Instagram coordinator and a member of the Recruitment and Retention Committee, as well as a firefighter-paramedic with Delta Township Fire Department, Local 2846. Like many things in life, social media can be used to help, but it can also create potential problems. During this episode, Matt and Amanda will discuss the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and potential threats related to MPFFU locals utilizing social media. Most importantly, our guests will describe how MPFFU locals can use social media to show the value of their union and the direct positive impact that they provide to their community. This turned out to be a very informative episode that provides a clear and concise overview of the do's and don'ts for MPFFU locals to consider when using social media. Please email us your feedback and tell us what you think about the show, or send us ideas for future episodes to mpffupodcast@gmail.com. Also, follow us on Instagram at m.p.f.f.u. And finally, please subscribe to the Michigan Professional Firefighters Union YouTube channel, where you're going to find all sorts of informative and funny podcast content. Thank you, and enjoy the show. Good afternoon, Matt Saar, Amanda West. How are you?
Good.
Good to see you guys. Matt, tell everybody who you are. You're here all the time, but remind everybody, Who are you, what do you do, where do you do it?
I'm Matt Saar. I'm president for the Michigan Professional Firefighters Union.
And you're also a full-time firefighter paramedic.
I am.
Yeah? Where?
Yeah, I'm full-time in East Point Fire.
Amanda West, who are you, what do you do, and where do you do it?
Hello, I'm Amanda West, and I'm a firefighter at Delta Township Fire Department, and I run the Instagram for the union.
You're doing a great job with that. We're going to get all into that. So we're here today to really talk about the use of social media. Now, we just talked about Instagram, but social media in general encompasses about 7,000 different platforms now. And so, Matt, you wanted to do an episode talking about social media, unions, and the MPFFU and our locals. And before, when you brought this up, I was like, okay, we're going to talk about how to best leverage it. But really, you brought a lot more foundational nuance to this topic. You're like, no. It goes further than that. We tend to see social media as just advertisement for our departments and locals. There's really a bigger play on leveraging and optimizing all unions. Yeah. Supporting all of our unions, supporting all of our MPFFU locals, and our bigger picture IAFF. Yeah. So I'll kind of hand it over to you. What is the big deal with social media and unions?
With the, I guess if you want to say, invention over the last 20 years of social media and the multiple platforms that you mentioned, it allows us to get our message out instantaneously. Over the years, we've seen platforms come and go, but right now the two that we use here in the state of Michigan the most is the Facebook page and our Instagram. And what we primarily use those for is we promote our locals. Just getting that word out, gaining a reputation of, hey, look what they're doing in their community. So whether it be charity events, fires, promotional ceremonies, we like to have those things out. It's good PR. But what also comes with that is we're growing a network. And our network reaches wide and far in regards to all the communities. So if we go to a local level, say in like West Bloomfield, they're running a local union page, or Delta Township. They have multiple different posts that they'll put out there in regards to, hey, ceremonies, fires, rescues, promotions. That's great. But then if they want to have that piece that says, hey, this is who we're supporting for township supervisor. This is who we're supporting for state senate. Great. That reaches those people. You guys have built a reputation, built the ability to say, we're trustworthy, look what we're doing. And that's where the social media comes to play. And there's a lot of do's and don'ts, and those were learned over quite frankly, over the last 20 years. The IFF has been teaching a social media class for at least the last 10. I want to say 10 years ago, I took a class in regards to social media and the do's and don'ts. My experience, number one, is that use it for the good of your members, and then also break that down to who should control that page. And that page should be controlled primarily by your executive board and perhaps somebody else that they trust to do it. And the reason why they have to have those administrative rights as somebody overseeing it is you have to be able to have some control. Because ultimately, one slip up and you'll have 15 people emailing you, calling you, or quite frankly, end up on the news for, can you believe what these firefighters put on social media? So we're always very careful of what we post and how we post it.
So you talked about really, the intent and posting, supporting our communities, supporting our local, supporting our state union, other unions, call to action of supporting political campaigns, politicians, or even bills at the state. These are calls to action that a lot of social media campaigns build on. But when you have a campaign, you can make mistakes. So there's good posts and there's bad posts. You really talked about the good posts. And there's bad posts. And really, I think you can agree there's two different types of bad posts. There's bad posts that you just, hey, dummy, you shouldn't have done that. Yeah. And then there's bad posts like, oh my gosh, I didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
Now, I won't say perception's reality, but I will say appearances matter.
Yeah.
And you don't want to accidentally offend somebody that is a constituent of yours or somebody you just didn't want to hurt their feelings.
Yeah.
Right?
One of those posts that we'll see all the time are firefighters posing or, smiling at a house fire. Somebody takes a picture, the fire's out, they're excited, but they're standing in the middle of somebody's living room that just lost all their stuff. Sometimes that can be a bad look. Other times, people can say, hey, man, we're going to pose in front of the fire truck after this fire, and we're excited. We just bonded. We got this fire out. I think that's fantastic. That could still be misconstrued as being, disrespectful. I don't personally see it that way, but it's all in the eye of the beholder in some of those. So we have to really pick and choose where we're going to put those. But I would say, standing in someone's family room when they just lost all their stuff saying, had a good one today, that's probably not something that I would recommend. And you won't see that on our MPFFU pages. You may see guys posing next to their fire trucks after, something like that. I think those are acceptable. But again, staying away from people that just lost all their personal things. That's a tough one. The other thing is social issues. We should stay away from social issues, right? We have talked about this numerous times that, hey, we are apolitical. We are support those that support us. So getting into the social issues such as, you name it, guns, abortion, we stay away from those. That's not what we're talking about. Now, if you want to talk about, hey, what right to work, you want to talk about collective bargaining, you want to talk cancer presumption, those are the things that absolutely should be out on all of our pages because those are important to firefighters. Is that all people want to hear about? Absolutely not. But we're building those audiences, right? By posting those pictures of award ceremony, posting the pictures of what our members are doing in their communities. There's multiple locals that are going to be doing Easter egg hunts coming up, Easter basket giveaways, because Easter's right around the corner for us. Those are great posts. Those are showing the community involvement and why firefighters are widely respected in most communities. Those are the posts that we love. And then when you add on one of the posts about right to work or collective bargaining or trying to get changes to para, that means something. Or, hey, by the way, this is who we support for mayor. That's what makes us so valuable, and that's why we try to keep that reputation so high.
One of the things, Matt, is I think the fire service in general, especially the professional fire service, and I know for a fact where I work in other MPFFU agencies, is that we take pride in taking care of our cities. We really take a lot of pride in that. And I think over time, we like to show what we're doing for our communities and how to best do that. And I think that builds trust. And trust is a big deal with the citizens. And I think once you can then make a recommendation on a call to action, that's when they'll actually listen.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just you being a sounding board or marketer for whatever idea that's best going to interest you. Yeah. Whereas all of these posts build up to building an audience of trust. And you're not trying to build this smoke and mirrors. You're showing them all of these things we're doing that are real.
Yeah.
And you're bringing it to their house and their eyes and their hands.
When you're building an audience and people are seeing it in their feeds, they're trusting you with essentially a news source, right, of what's going on. So then when you bring to them like, hey, staffing issues, or our mayor is not allowing X to happen, or township supervisor is doing this. There's been multiple times in my career where I've had mayors, fire chiefs, township supervisors give me a call and say, hey, why is this on this page? Take it down. And that shows you the power of social media. We've had multiple new locals when they were coming up that were just absolutely being harassed for being union. We built that social media presence. We used that to essentially push back, and it worked. And time again, these people are spending time looking at our page and what we're doing and how we're doing it. There is many mayors and fire chiefs that are looking at our MPFFU page. I know that, and quite frankly, in the House and the Senate. That's not their only source, but they're using that to get information of what's going on around the state. So when we're putting stuff out, it has to be factual. It has to be above board, and we have to make sure we've vetted it every single time. We try to do those things. So when we do put stuff out there, it's encouraging to see the responses. And I guess that kind of helps me transition to Amanda in regards to what she started with our Instagram page here about a year ago.
Yeah, and basically Amanda has been exercising the objectives that you're talking about. Yeah. Pro-union in general, pro all of our objectives that the MPFFU has set out for the next 2 years. Yeah. And then pro boosting all the locals to then boost the MPFFU. If we all have each other's backs, this is how it works. Yeah. So Amanda, you weren't exactly like a social media specialist that we brought in.
Not right? At all. Nope.
Like all of us were like, okay, time to Google how to do this.
Yeah, I was kind of like, here's your blank slate. Go ahead and start it out. I had no idea what I was doing. So the initial goal was to just get the union out there, get people to start following it, and recruit people to become firefighters. So I began with looking into the locals and trying to boost them, show what they're doing, what services they provide, how many square miles they provide that for. And then I went into what they're doing for their communities. If they were fundraising for something or getting Toys for Tots for their local hospitals, I started putting those posts up.
Amanda, so Matt talked about good posts, bad posts a little bit, but you being new to it and actually posting lately, and I've been posting too on multiple platforms, mostly YouTube for me, handling that for the MPFFU and you handling Instagram. Let's talk about good stuff that's been working for you and stuff you've been learning of, oh, that really didn't work that well. Basically, stuff that meets the criteria Matt said that's getting good hits, good exposure, and things that man, that's kind of not as good. So what are some good posts?
So I got really good feedback about No Shave November. We got firemen sending in pictures of their mustaches, and every Monday I would put those up, and we got a lot of positive feedback on that.
There is no more magnificent measuring stick in the fire service in the last 20 years than this No Shave November thing.
I love it.
Yeah,
I can't grow a mustache. I could grow back and neck hair, but I can't.
Yeah, I struggle also.
Oh, okay.
But people love seeing animals being saved. So those are really good feedbacks. We seem to be getting good feedback about people working on fire scenes. And unfortunately, it is the worst days of these people's lives, but we're there to help make their lives better. So
I think there's a way to convey that through pictures where you're not in the living room kind of celebrating with your buddies, because at the end of the day, you might not understand the amount of camaraderie that happens at a fire. And they don't get that we just saved your house, whereas you see it as this destroyed house. So there's a lot of this picture that could be misconstrued, whereas we can still show a picture of operations that shows the work and effort that's going in for the community without highlighting the destruction of a home or life.
Right. And then maybe someone will see, wow, look what they did for them. That's what I want to do with my career.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Kind of inspiring people to join on.
Yeah. And that's what I see with our MPFFU Instagram page is we're building that newer, younger audience. She took it from 0 to over 1,000 followers, which is great. And I just wanted to compliment her on that because one of the things 10 years ago, they said babies, kids, kittens, those will get you your most likes. And do you use that? Yeah, you can use that to promote your brand. And that's what we'll do.
So I think it helps us to promote our brands. Mm-hmm. And the nice thing is we don't have to fake it to promote our brand. We just got to get the right shot. We don't have to set up shots. We don't have to go looking for a certain scene. We live this.
That's true.
We're just talking about the right moment being captured to share. Whereas a lot of people on Instagram or social media animals in the wild kind of setting up this situation. We don't have to do that. For us, it's more of we need to put the cameras away most of the time. In fact, most of us have SOGs on making them go away so we don't capture these moments. That's how often we're around these things.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of filtering, like you said. So let's talk about more of those bad ones. We've all gotten that, oh, crap. I don't think you and I are in the category of maliciously putting things on the internet that are not good. But once in a while, you and I are new to the social media game. We're going to put something up where we didn't see it that way. Appearances matter. So what are some things you've learned to not post? And I don't mean something like maliciously bad or somebody's like offended. It just didn't hit with the audience. And really, we can post all day. I can post a picture of a kitten and a fire hat and all this stuff. But it's about sending a message out there that's also connecting with the like button. So what are the bad ones that really don't get attention? Are there things you can help us shy away from?
I think the ones that we can stay away from are the ones with lots of words. So when someone sees a cool picture, they're like that. And then maybe they'll go down and start reading it where they hit the more button so they can read the rest of it. Mm-hmm. A bland picture that has a lot of words on it, maybe like an informational posting. Those are hard because no one wants to sit there and read everything.
Oh, so maybe like get a picture to capture attention, then an arrow down to the description to maybe find out more information. Yes. I got you. So don't post a PDF as a picture of this event you got going on. Capture my attention and try to see in the details.
Which is hard because sometimes we want to get out there the information like about the committee meetings. Yep, that's a lot of words, but I want people to go to those, so I'm going to post it up online so they know and they're aware. Because some people don't check their emails.
Yeah. And social media will never replace emails. You have to read your emails. So I want to make sure we say that today.
Right.
For our members, if you're trying to get all of your information off of social media, you can't. Social media will never replace what you're going to get in your emails. And, you know, she's hitting it spot on. When I took the PTA Academy, it was 8 years ago, and that's the Political Training Academy through the IFF. And we had a lot of professionals that run campaigns. They came in and they told us then even about social media that you have about 15 seconds before someone's scrolling by. So if you don't have them in that 15 seconds, they're done. So if you give somebody that they have to work to look over a post or read it, they're just going to keep scrolling by. That's probably the downfall of social media, if you want to say, because you could have some really good information, but they're going to keep going. So that's why when it comes to our members, they still need to read their emails. And hopefully maybe when they see social media posts like, hey, 6th district meeting, because we're here in the 6th, here in Clinton Township, the members in the 6th are like, you know what, I just saw an email about that. And it'll trigger them to go back and look at their email.
Yeah, the social media is kind of like a supplement.
Yes.
And I check my social media more than I check my email, especially work-related email stuff. So it's, maybe like, let's say for every one time I check my email, I'll probably check my social media a bunch more. But it could, like you said, remind me, oh, there's that event I read about in my email. I better go check on that thing. Or, oh, I better get my tickets to the 6th district meeting. Stuff like that.
100%.
Dumbest post you've ever seen?
There's a lot.
Come on, give me your top 3. Any of the top of your head, dumbest things you've ever seen, a local post.
A local? No, I'm not going to get into that. You know, what I see from a lot of locals is they're championing what their departments are doing. And that is fantastic. But sometimes it has to be used more than just for championing what their departments are doing. This is your union page. So we need to use it for union-related topics as well. Who are you guys endorsing for mayor? Oh, we don't get involved in politics. Okay, well, what are you doing in the community? And talk about your local union. When you have a Easter egg hunt or you guys are doing gifts for the needy during Christmas, talk about how your union is paying for that or how they partnered with the community to get this done. We don't do that enough. Some of the pages might not necessarily say union on them. There's a confusion of, well, it says XYZ department. Well, is it run by your union or your department? And those are two distinctively different things. In our union pages, we can use them as you see fit. Obviously, we're not trying to be out there being inflammatory or trying to get people worked up, so we're going to follow all the same rules, obviously, with our union pages.
An example, so for Christmas at my local, we designated a certain amount of money to go buy gifts for families. And I run the social media for Delta, so when I put up there, I specifically said our union did this for our local community.
So there was no confusion that your township fire department did it, but the group of humans that occupy your local, your membership within your IFF local, were the people that spearheaded it, made it happen, and brought those services to the community.
Yes, that's
as
correct.
A charitable donation from your group specifically, segregating yourself. Not saying you're not a part of that. You're saying, yes, we are a part of this department, but the humans that occupy this is our MPFFU local, and this is what we do.
Yes.
And that's what we're trying to tell the community is say that we represent something. And when we say something, it's coming with value. So we're not going to tell you this person's good if we don't truly have it all vetted out, because we're building that trust and we're reaching out to the community all the time and building over time incrementally, which is every single post. is that next step forward. We don't want to take steps backwards with bad posts.
Couldn't agree more. Absolutely.
Amanda, close us out with some tips. It's always the little things that gets us, right? Spelling and grammar always screws me up, especially if I spell somebody's name wrong. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. Or like when to post, stuff like that. So what are your final tips?
So my go-to woman is my mother, Cheryl Pitchford.
Shout out Cheryl.
Yeah, shout out big time. Every post that I make, if it's for the MPFFU Instagram or my locals page, I send it to her first. And she's a grammar queen. She reads through it, tells me what I misspelled, what I didn't punctuate correctly. Then she'll send it back to me. And then she asks for the pictures because she likes to see them. So I send them back to her and then she'll give me a thumbs up and then I post it on there.
Isn't that nice to have?
It's awesome.
Thanks, Cheryl. We
good
appreciate
support.
you.
Yeah. And that is such good advice. Myself that have made those mistakes, getting it out there correctly with the right punctuation and grammar, that is an excellent tip.
And then what type of schedule do you like to post on? Days, nights, weekends, days? Does it matter?
I try to either do it early in the morning because you're thinking we're all sitting around the coffee table, right? Drinking coffee, scrolling on our phones because we're not talking to each other anymore. Or at nighttime, right when we're all laying in bed looking at our phones.
Yeah,
so.
Right on.
And that is also good advice. I mean, that's something, social media class, I recommend that if you're getting involved with your local and you're going to be running their social media, you take a class for the IFF. That is one of the exact tactics they tell you about is what time to post. They talk about early morning because people are waking up. They like to scroll through when they're drinking their coffee. They talk about posting around 4:30, 5 o'clock, dinner time. What are people doing? Sitting around on their phones while they eat dinner. And then they talk about around 9:30 to 10 o'clock when they're going to bed. That's when you're going to get the most bang for your buck. And from the recruitment and retention standpoint, you're hitting on all those points, and we're definitely seeing an uptick. I actually just this morning on a staff meeting was able to meet with Scott Karicki, who is the chair of the R&R, and he was telling me that they're seeing it in fire academies. They're saying that they're getting students saying, hey, I saw this on social media. So that's super encouraging.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
And it's awesome that it's coming from us and not from just township administrators.
Yeah. Quite frankly, we're at a crisis level and we've been tasked with essentially doing their job, and that's our members told us, hey, this is what we want. Our members told us this at the last convention, so it's really encouraging to see.
Good job, Amanda.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl.
That is all for the show today, everybody. Thank you, Matt Saar and Amanda West, for joining me on the 13th episode of the MPFFU podcast. This turned out to be a very informative episode that provides a clear and concise overview of the do's and don'ts for MPFFU locals to consider when using social media. I hope all of our listeners enjoy the show. Remember, the MPFFU podcast is always open to your feedback and your suggestions for future episodes. You can send those to mpffupodcast@gmail.com. Also, check out the Instagram account at m.p.f.f.u. And finally, please subscribe to the Michigan Professional Firefighters Association YouTube channel, where you're going to find all sorts of really good content. Thanks. Have a great day.